Hello, everybody.
Happy Tuesday, friends.
Happy Tuesday for you. Happy Tuesday. Hello, everyone. Charlie Yaplin. I like that.
That's good.
That's a fun one. That's a really good one.
That's good.
Chat, how we doing? How we feeling? Hello, hello. Doodle. Elizabeth was the second. That was really quick. Panda. Ray. Let's hope the internet works today. You and me both. I don't know. I didn't tell Elizabeth this. My capture card between my PCs wasn't working all weekend. So I had to stream from one PC, and then I figured it out yesterday. Like I ordered a new cable for something else. Anyway, long story short, it's working now, and that's all what really matters.
Fingers crossed it continues to work.
Yay! Ben, thank you so much for the 43 freaking months. How are you doing? Carnell? Yap, 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 yap. Who's excited for the Wiener 500? I know. Are they actually going to race Wienermobiles, or is that just like a joke?
I think they're just gonna drive them. Maybe I haven't read my press release on that yet.
Not like racing. They'll drive.
Yeah.
In the
or like
circle.
they'll just be around. I don't know, but I just hope they have merch because all I want my entire life is a shirt that says Weenie 500. I'd wear that everywhere.
I want to make like your mom joke somehow with like the Wiener 500. Be like, oh, is your mom racing in it or something? Someone said, someone in the comment section says Penske are a bunch of weenies, or like, is that the cars Penske's or Penske's racing on Sunday?
That's funny. That should be their punishment. Gotta race the weenie from the back of the grid.
It's Lego F1 all over again. I don't know if the drivers will get to race. I hope they do. That sounds kind of fun.
If I was an IndyCar driver, I would demand. Like, I'm not even kidding. I would demand. I think it's happening. Yes. It's happening on Friday. They're the Weenie 500. Sure. So I don't know if that's going to conflict with the driver parade. I don't remember what days
Friday's the parade.
Or is it Saturday?
I thought it was Saturday because they do the drivers meeting.
Yes.
And then they go.
They do the drivers meeting, and then yeah.
So your mom loves the Wiener 500. She sure does. She sure does. Ladies and gentlemen, also, can we take a moment to say happy belated birthday to Elizabeth Blackstock? It was Elizabeth's birthday this past weekend. So
yeah,
happy birthday.
Bump day birthday.
Bump day birthday. Elizabeth, what did you do on your birthday? Did you have a good time?
Chris and I went to the little farmer's market in San Antonio, and we wandered around and looked at stuff. Because all I wanted was to window shop and drink wine. So we did that. And then we went to a French restaurant and I got a raclette sandwich with just hot cheese on top and a champagne and a huge little like ice cream thing. And then we went to a little indoor market thing in San Antonio that I've been wanting to go to that's like Whole Foods but fancier.
Ooh.
Yeah. But I got a bottle of wine, so it's pretty solid. It was very hot. So we did that and then I was like, let's go home. Let's go home. And then we watched race cars and then Chris made me gnocchi for dinner.
Ooh.
It was delicious.
Are we talking about like from scratch? Chris just making pasta? Oh, okay.
No. I was like, I didn't know what I wanted for dinner. And I was like, what if we just did pasta? And he was like, we have fancy pasta. So we can have more than just pasta.
Fancy pasta with some fancy wine.
Yeah. With Italian wine from Mount Etna.
Ooh.
It was really good. Delicious.
Are you a red wine, white wine? You don't care? All wines?
I'm a wine fiend. So I went through this phase where I was like, I'm gonna learn everything about wine and become a snob. And then got like halfway there and then kind of gave up because it got expensive. But I like to try different things all the time. Okay. I really like a good red wine that like dries your mouth out and tastes like dirt. Fantastic. Absolutely wonderful. But I also like, I don't know, crazy shit. Like the wines from Mount Etna. Just trying stuff. I learned that there's also an so AG Fort has a winery, but I learned that they have a winery museum in Fredericksburg. I thought that was only in Indianapolis. So there's one near me that I can go to, which I need to.
Someone goes, amazing wine sales pitch. Thanks, Jenny.
Wine. Drink it.
I have this local wine place in Charlotte. I keep saying I like it's possessive, like I own it. Attend this local wine place owned by very great people in Charlotte. It's called Frenchie's, and they do this thing. if you guys are ever in Charlotte, we should take you.
Yes.
Where they'll have wine pairings, either with cheese, like so they'll have like a local cheese shop come and they'll talk about it, or they'll have people bring in. Obviously, they're like sales reps for this wine.
Yeah.
But I like it because they're clearly passionate, and I get they're selling, but they know so much about this wine. They're like, oh, from we did this with sake tasting. We tried like 7 different
Ooh.
sakes, and it's like, oh, she's like the only female sake producer in all of Japan,
That's
and she's won an
cool.
award. Like getting the history behind it, and like learning how people make it, and like, care about the grapes.
Yeah.
And, like the process that goes behind it is really really interesting. And then you're like, sounds good.
Chug. Yeah, there's one in San Antonio, called High Street Wine, and the sommelier that used to work there was my absolute favorite because he would have these crazy wine classes. So it was like, come in for wines of Mexico. You have 6 different
Yeah.
wines, all made in Mexico, and we'll learn about wines in Mexico. So we did that. We did Chile. So right before, like just before I went to Chile for the E-Prix a couple years ago, we went to the Chilean wine class, and I was like, when I got there, it was the only part of the menu I could read, but I could select wines for everybody on the trip, and it was great. I felt so smart, but it has no other practical use, and that sommelier has since gone on to go somewhere else. And now all of their classes that they have are just like drink a wine and make a bouquet, and I can't be fucking bothered with that. I can do that at home.
Like the first time it's fine, but I'm not going to do that every month. But every month, if you have
Yeah.
like a different country or a different sommelier come or like whatever and talk about it, I can definitely do that. But it's hard when it's
Absolutely.
like, oh, craft, and I was like, okay, I can't. No, thank you.
It's too much. I don't give a shit. I
Elizabeth,
can
what-
craft at home.
become the sommelier you wish the world to see.
I
Yeah,
don't
then you
think
can
so.
host those classes
Maybe.
full time.
I don't think I got
motorsport
the-
journalist, part time.
I don't think I got the dedication for that.
Elizabeth and Ash's Great Wine Adventure, but you only go to racetracks. Oh, I can't imagine the wine they have in race. Like, it's probably like what they do at the ballpark, like the Sutherland Home, like really tiny bottles. Like it's fine.
Yeah.
But I'm not expecting
There's-
some great wine tasting.
I think there's vineyards right next to Imola, and I think they make Imola wine.
It's
Like
just Sonoma over and over.
they do a good wine up near Watkins Glen. So that's good.
Oh, they do.
Um,
Yes.
Yeah.
Every time we go to Watkins
Finger
Glen,
Lakes.
the Airbnb that we stay at always brings leaves us a bottle of local wine.
Oh,
That is
it's
very
so
true.
nice. It's good. It's good stuff.
What other
Wine
racetracks have
is winning.
I'm sure Austin, Texas has some wine, like something besides a brewery.
We
there's
we have a
something.
big wine area in Fredericksburg, which is not that far away from Austin. It's
Yeah.
like a 45-minute drive. Apparently our terrain mimics really dry parts of Italy, so we make a damn good Tempranillo.
What a fun fact.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, there's
Elizabeth
also
likes wine.
the Winding Road. There is a winery called the Winding Road, and they do really good wines. And their bottles are all themed. So I have one on display up in the kitchen because it had a little like gear shift knob on the top,
Oh,
like
that's
as
so cool.
just a topper. So you can like take it out. It's so cute.
Wine day. I'm writing this down because I like wine. Look, beers hurt my tummy, so I can only really drink light beers. To the point where you're like, is this really a beer? And then I would prefer like a seltzer or just vodka. Like this, then I do like wine, but
I love a good fruity cocktail. I like a good wine. I don't really like beer unless it's a sour beer. I really like cider. I really like mead.
ooh, I do like cider. I'm not feeling this wine propaganda. There's no such thing as a good wine. What? Stuart.
Every wine is a good wine if you drink enough of it.
And after a couple bottles, who really can tell the difference? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. The one of my favorite memories from the Indy 500 is Connor Daly crashing out early in the race, and then my friends and I had a box of wine, but the box dissolved in our cooler, so there was no box, it was just the bag. And I just like chugged half of this bag of wine and then
Yeah.
proceeded to pass out in the grandstands.
A Tour de Frenzia. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's
Gotta slap the
the
bag.
the Indy 500 experience.
Oh, This actually reminds me, Elizabeth, of the conversation
Yes.
we were having about, okay, as folks know, in baseball, there's a 999 challenge, right? You got 9 hot
Yes.
dogs, 9 beers in those 9 innings. Elizabeth and I were talking, what is something similar for the Indy 500? And I swear to God, don't say 500, 500, 500, because I'm not chugging a beer and eating a hot dog for 500 laps, okay? Something reasonable, like 555, as in you have one for every 100 laps?
Mm.
Or 100 miles, excuse me?
Hmm.
That feels like it's too. Then it's too much. Like too little.
Every 50 laps. I guess that
Yeah, then that would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
every 10 laps you have to chug a beer and do a Jello shot, and
We're gonna find a Jello shot at IMS.
you can go to any grandstand and say, "Does anyone have any Jello shots?" And there is someone's mom who has a cooler of them. I fucking guarantee it.
555, but you add one or a shot for every yellow.
Ooh.
Okay, that keeps it a little spicy. I might die, but that keeps.
We
it a little
used to
spicy.
do
Milk shots. Oh, stop.
caution shots during 24-hour races, which got old after a little while sometimes. Milk shots would be disgusting.
Milk shots
I
would be
can't
absolutely
imagine.
awful. I'm like drinking a beer, that I take a milk shot. Oh. Oh, please.
See, I have no idea what you could do for this.
I do like 555 for every 100 miles.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I would have a hot dog or a pork tenderloin or something. I would have some food item, a drink, and then do shots for every caution. I feel like that's fair.
Yeah, that's fun. The only problem is, are you gonna source your 500 tenderloins before the 500 starts?
Oh no!
Or are you gonna go wait in line for them while the race is happening?
It's only 5 tenderloins.
I know, but that's a lot of tenderloins to wait in line for during the race.
I'll just make Taylor go.
Okay, fair.
That's how you always bring a +1. Also, I also wonder if they would have them. I don't know where I'm sitting or anything, so I mean, we can always map this out on Friday on Carb Day from like the seat to the pork tenderloin place. I also don't know how big these pork tenderloins are.
Pipeline.
Or if I can tell everyone around me what I'm doing, and suddenly I got a whole bunch of help, like people just passing tenderloins down like a conveyor system of people.
That'd be sick. I bet some people would be so into that. It's the 500. Everyone's best friends.
Pick a driver and eat and drink one per pit stop. Okay.
That's fun.
I feel like that's not ballsy enough, though, because it's like, yeah, they'll do a couple
I know.
pit stops.
They do like 9, I think, during the race. But then, like, what if they retire? And then what?
You just pick a new driver.
Got a backup driver waiting in the wings.
Someone says you might do that. If you do this, you'll die every time Penske's cheating or gets caught cheating. That's funny.
Rip.
What about every time they mention the double on the broadcast? I would die.
Every time Townsend Belt talks about Santino Ferrucci, take a shot.
Every time he talks about him, it makes him sound like he's the second coming of Jesus Christ to IndyCar, and that he is some kind of prodigy, even though he's had multiple years to prove that correct.
Yeah.
We would all. Okay. I like 555, the 100 miles, and then a shot for a yellow flag.
Yeah. That seems reasonable.
Jello? Is a Jello shot? I don't know if I can make Jello shots in my hotel room, though.
See, it's probably
I can't
not...
Can I bring hard liquor into IMS?
Yes.
Like a.
I don't think you can bring glass bottles.
But if I brought like a nip or something like that, they would.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They're not gonna say anything. You can bring whatever the fuck you want in there.
Fox Sports is never bringing Ashley. Do it away from wherever they're sitting. That's so funny. Oh my gosh.
If you're not gonna do the Indy 500 right, why even bother?
You're gonna find me face down in the Coke lot.
What a terrible place.
Terrible. Okay, wait, I need to write this down before I forget. 555.
I hope, like, the pork tenderloins, at least some of the ones that I'm thinking of, I don't know if they're the ones at the track, are huge.
Okay, I don't know what those, someone just mentioned those. I don't know how big they are. I would do a hot dog. That's fine.
Plate.
Oh, okay, maybe we're not doing that.
Size of your head.
So for every...
Scope out the options.
Yeah. What does 555 mean? I guess it's I guess we should rename it because I feel like 555 is misleading. Every 100 miles, Panda, I will have a drink, a hot dog for the 500 miles total. Shot for every yellow flag.
5 shots for yellow flag.
No, not
Where the other 5 comes from.
Jesus. Actually, gonna be the Virginia Tech girl going go sports an interview during the last 50 laps. I'm gonna call it the Daytona 500, just like Chris Myers did.
Fuck,
And just
that'd
really
be
never
so
get invited
funny.
back. If it is a 5 you would have 40 laps or around 25 minutes to finish each round. I feel like I could do this
I feel like,
every 100 miles because there's gonna be a yellow flag where I just take a shot and like,
Yeah.
take a breather.
yeah, there will be. Absolutely.
I'll be fine. I mean, the best part is if I'm not, and then it's all for content, and then I gotta fly home that night. The vibes are gonna be
Ooh.
very different than coming to Indy 500 than leaving.
Sheesh. If you Oh God.
The caution shots are gonna make it harder. How many cautions were in the 2024 Indy 500? How many
90.
cautions Indy 500 2024? There were 8
You're gonna
cautions.
That's a lot of shots. Maybe what you need is a nice like 3.5% beer. Like a beer. Like a fake one or something that you drink. Like one of the have you ever had the Recorder League ciders? They're like 3% and they taste like juice.
Okay, yeah, that's true. No one ever
Yeah,
said what
you
I had
just-
to drink for the 555.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't got to do anything crazy.
Yeah. A hot dog, a 3% something, and a shot.
If James Hinchcliffe still had his beers, I would say that would have to be like the thing you did, but I don't think he has them anymore. The
Then we
Hinchtown
stick with no more than
Hammerdowns.
5% for a beer. Yeah, I guess I can bring a bunch of high noons. A canned cocktail. Yeah, we'll figure this out. I got time now logistically. Now that we've put this together.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
just do shots. Oh, no carbonation. That's also a big one. That's a good point.
Yeah. If you do carbonation, you're gonna float away before the
I'm
end of
eating
that
so many
race.
carbs on Saturday. Like I'm running for a fucking marathon on Sunday, just to prepare my body.
Oh, Jesus.
All right, enough drinking talk on a Tuesday at 11:21 a.m. Again, Elizabeth, I hope you had a really great birthday this past weekend.
I did, thank you.
Thank you for always hanging out with us and sharing your knowledge. And I'm glad you were born.
Me too, thank you.
Glad you were born.
Shout out to my mom.
Shout out to Elizabeth's mom. Should I clip this and just send it to your mom, or send it to you to send to your mom? Be like, thank you,
She would
Elizabeth's
love it.
mom. Elizabeth is a light in my life.
Oh.
Shot every time they say the greatest spectacle in racing.
Ooh.
Guys, I'm not trying to die. If I do, Elizabeth has everything that I own.
Okay.
All my PCs and streaming equipment.
I'll treat them well.
Enjoy. Knock yourself out. All right. Let's get started with some rapid fire news. Gotta keep it quick.
Yes. We had Max Verstappen last week taking laps on a Ferrari GT3 at the Nürburgring. And then immediately everyone turned into armchair experts about what he did there. Because a lot of rumors came out that he like broke the lap record or whatever. And there are like 1,000 lap records at the Nürburgring, depending on what category of car you were driving. So I don't know what they were talking about. But anyway, Mauro Angel and Lawrence Vantor both got like personally offended by this, where they were like, I've heard about this lap record, but actually he said it, with all this certain spec and this
Yeah.
certain like car and not with this and not with that. And they were so like just prepared to like tear this man down. Like he can't possibly have gone out there and been good. And Max Verstappen responded like, false. You don't know anything about this. And why are men the most delicate flowers in the world about everything? Particularly when it comes to, I swear I'm better than you at race car. Very funny.
Yeah, it was. I think it was something along the lines like, "Oh, I heard in the paddock like you didn't have the right BOP, the right spec, etc." And Max Verstappen's like, "No, that's
Yes.
not true. Don't know why you would say that. Maybe don't speak on things you're 100% uncertain of." And he's like, "Oh, sorry."
Yeah. Maro
Backpedaled real
Angel came
fast.
out and said he was going to share a few facts about this run that included Verstappen supposedly running DTM BOP, which includes less weight, lower ride height, and more power than his Ferrari would have run in an official Nürburgring Endurance Series race. And then Verstappen came back and said, false. Don't spread things when you don't know how the car was set up and our engine settings. Why would I join an NLS track day with the wrong BOP? So fun.
Can you read his backpedaling?
Where did it go? Maro Angel's backpedaling was seems like Paddock Chat was incorrect then. Why
Thumbs up emoji.
why why would you like come out and share a few facts that you weren't sure of? That's so funny.
This is reminding me of the whole Penske thing that's also happening right now. It's just everyone's
Yeah.
just trying to be
Armchair
one, get the
experts?
clicks. Well, I mean, would I call a race car driver an armchair expert? Like,
Would I call Maro Angel an armchair expert when he doesn't know exactly what was
right.
going on there? Yes.
Yeah,
I would
everyone's just trying to get the
he
views.
knows better than me,
Right.
a guy who's never driven on the Nürburgring. He has, he's got that level of experience, but he still didn't know what the fuck he was talking about, which makes him an armchair expert.
Yeah. So they're
Amen.
men just swinging their dicks around at the Nürburgring Classic.
Yep. In the build-up to Imola for the Emilia-Romagna Made in Italy Grand Prix, multiple technical directives were put into place that we didn't learn about as media until yesterday. So I don't think I can say exactly how many there were, but there were several, relating to things like tire treatment and the design of wheel bodywork and skids. Uh, Apparently, the FIA says this had no effect on the running order of the race. No one should have been taken aback by any of this, but no one publicly had any idea that this was coming. So very interesting choice from the FIA there.
This is interesting. Why do you think they would do this now?
I think that they are preparing for the incoming technical directive in Barcelona with the flexi wings. So my thought process is that perhaps they are doing some minor tweaks and changes around there, but considering the fact that it came out the week of Imola, it couldn't have been substantial enough for any team to have needed to make a part or design something special for this technical directive onslaught. So I can't imagine it was anything too crazy. I just think it was probably something more procedural. Um, but they're keeping it very like playing it close to their chest right now, which drives me crazy.
Yeah. The teams know, right? Like 100%.
Yeah.
But we don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great. Awesome. My favorite. Because you just know everyone took those. Have you seen those tweets of people taking screenshots of like the wings and like certain components through the race and they just like try to compare them? And like, I get it.
Yeah.
That is the best we have. But we truly don't know, especially like these directives. So if you analyze something as a Twitter expert and then all of a sudden you realize they changed completely without our knowledge and we don't know what they changed, we all just look silly.
I know. No clue. So if you were an armchair expert at Imola, guess what? You didn't know shit, actually. We also got news this weekend that Pirelli is looking at skipping a step in its compound range at Grand Prix later this season. So this basically means, so what Pirelli does is they bring 3 consecutive tires from their now 6 compound tire line. So if you're going to bring like the C3, 4, and 5, the C3 would be your softest, the C4 would be your medium, and the C5 would be the hard. They're thinking about now doing C2 as your softest, skipping C3, and then having C4 as your medium, maybe skipping C5 and then having C6, whatever the case might be. So they're thinking about doing this in order to introduce greater strategy options because the tire wear will be much more variable than theoretically they would be if they were all consecutive. It's an interesting choice, I believe, here. So,
Yeah, I understand why we're doing this, right? We got
yeah.
the Monaco forced now to 2 pit stop rule, which I get.
Yeah.
It's they're thinking about skipping compounds. Essentially, what I'm trying to say is, and with the C6 introduction, they didn't get tested. It wasn't that good.
Mhm.
Didn't last that long. No one used
Yeah.
it. Like the gimmick worked because no one used it, not because people did use it, which is interesting. But I think we're getting too
Yeah.
gimmicky with these things. And
That's,
I just
yeah.
don't think the inability to pass because of the aerodynamic innovations that have caused so much dirty air. So the dirty air effects, the inability to pass, the size of the cars is like Pirelli's problem to fix. And I understand
Yeah.
it's the only thing we can control, but we're like honestly like a couple steps away from the Bernie Ecclestone sprinklers at racetracks with this.
Yeah.
This is like a gateway to that, a pipeline.
Yeah.
And I just like it's just
This,
getting too gimmicky with me. Like it's getting close, and I don't like
yeah.
it.
The sprint races are bad enough, in my personal opinion. I don't, I don't know. I don't know why we're trying to force strategy and force chaos if we don't have to. I can understand Monaco is an exception and an outlier in many, many senses of the word.
Yeah.
Theoretically, it does not even qualify for a Grand Prix based on the current standards of Grand Prix hosting because it's not long enough. So we keep it on the calendar out of memories. Do whatever the fuck you want with that race. I don't care. But if you're going to start doing this with other ones, it just seems crazy to me that we're kind of slapping a band-aid on a problem. And especially now when we have new regulations coming in
Right.
like a couple months. Why are we trying to get so crazy with this right now?
Just Pirelli made good tires that can last a long
Yeah.
time if the car can figure it out, or slash the team can figure out, not a way to cook them like Mercedes does.
Yeah.
That's not
Also,
anyone's problem. This is
why do
like
we
just
keep
not Pirelli's
blaming the
problem.
tires?
This is
Yeah.
just not Pirelli's problem to fix. But it's the only thing
No.
we can control, which is so frustrating. It's like just deal with it.
Yeah. It's not just get over yourselves. That's what I'm gonna just keep coming back to. Get over yourselves.
Agreed.
And we also had more drama this weekend. Argentinian fans were apparently so mean to Jack Doohan and Yuki Tsunoda on the internet that Mohammed Ben Sulayem had to make a whole Instagram post about it yesterday. Uh, Basically, what happened, the Argentinian fans have been very mean to Jack Doohan just generally because they believe he took Franco Colapinto's seat. What happened specifically this weekend was that Mick Doohan, Jack's dad, shared a graphic of Jack Doohan's finishes in the race on his Instagram story, and that was it. Some account, I think it was Formula Fakers, screenshotted that, removed the image of Jack Doohan's finishes, and instead put in a photo of Franco Colapinto crashing in practice with the caption, "Very impressive," and 3 laughing crying emojis. If you look at the Formula Fakers account, you know this is a meme account. But a lot of folks who were starting to report on this did not, and were treating it like it was fact and taking that screenshot and sharing it around. And it ended up becoming a massive thing in the Argentinian press. So people started being extremely mean to Jack Doohan and his dad. And then during practice, Yuki Tsunoda like flew up on Franco Colapinto and had to abort his fast lap or something. I don't remember quite what happened, but it was FP1, like completely inconsequential. And people flooded Yuki Tsunoda's social media with like legitimately racist comments and like very mean things. So Franco had to come and like speak about this and talk about it after the race and was like, can we please just be respectful? Um, like I don't want this to be a big thing, but it is now a big thing. So we've had to address all of this. Absolutely disastrous.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between passion and just straight up toxicity. Like, just
Yeah.
it just is not helping your driver in any
Yeah.
way. If that's what you like, I don't understand the point of this.
I don't either. I was gonna say there's passion and then there's like hatred or like anger.
Oh,
I don't know. Passion to me is a positive thing. Passion should not be, I don't know, unless you're really passionate about racism, I guess. That's your passion that you're feeling.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Funny enough, I went on TikTok to post something today, and I saw a DM request. So I looked at it, and it said, "Don't laugh about Max Verstappen, you little shit." And I was like, so I wrote, "Oh, so big and tough. Don't worry,
Yeah.
I'll let him know you stood up for him, and then maybe he'll invite you to a race." Then he goes, "Sorry, I don't really follow your account. I just saw your reaction to Saudi Arabia from, if you guys know who Chris is, he puts a contemplation of all the watch along streamers and like their reactions to stuff. So saw your reaction to Saudi Arabia and you giggled at him because of his penalty and that annoyed me. I'm really sorry." Let's control our emotions and maybe
Gosh. That's so funny.
let's maybe not do that.
I'm glad you took time to go to bat for Maxwell Verstappen. I'm sure he really personally
I'm sure Max
appreciates
really needed defense against me for being like, "Oh, we got a penalty. What classic moves that he did?" Right? I definitely remember exactly what he was talking about. I was like, whatever. Who flew into a 2-foot tackle? Yeah, this wasn't like terrible, but also right. This is just like a very surface level. Someone saw
Yeah.
something on YouTube, went to find my account, DM me
Yeah.
this, and was like, "Oh, sorry, didn't realize you'd respond." So I can't imagine with athletes with much larger followings like Franco Colapinto to Jack Doohan and people
Yeah.
backing up completely, just like what is going on here?
Yeah.
Everyone needs to just simmer down before you send that DM. Why?
Yeah.
What would calling me
What
a
are you
little shit have
accomplishing?
accomplished? Exactly. Like what is this doing?
Did it make you feel better? That's why I like the response of like, did this make you feel like a big tough guy? Did that make you feel better? 'Cause it pisses him off. I don't know. This also turned into an excuse for Mohammed bin Sulayem to promote the FIA's new campaign against online abuse or
Mhm.
something of this sort. Can't remember the exact name of it, but I have not seen much from this campaign aside from talking about it. And I think this should become a good opportunity to make resources available to drivers regarding moderation for social media, and things like that, so that they don't have to be doing that with their team, or other resources available for that kind of thing. So it would be very cool to see more from that.
If I
Because I think
find
this is
out if
very
any of
relevant.
you ever go into someone's DMs to call them a little shit about an opinion you don't agree with or harass women online, I swear to God, I'm going to be so far up your fucking ass, you're going to wish you've never been in this community.
We'll find you.
Be better.
Yes.
You think I won't go low? I'll go to the depths of hell to prove a point. I do not care. I have no morals. I have no ethics. If you're coming for me online, I will destroy you. Okay?
I will find the tiniest hill and die on
I will
it.
find the tiniest hill. I will find everything you were ever insecure about, your hairline, what you look like, your parents abandoning you. I don't care. I will be so low about it. I do
I'll
not
laugh at
care.
your name. I don't care.
Someone's like, "How dare you bring this up?" And I was like, "You started this. What do you mean? Are you
Yeah.
surprised? There's no rules of engagement. Get out of here." There's no Geneva Conventions in my comment section. Absolutely not. So don't be an asshole.
Ah, what a disaster.
Ash running for office in 2044. I have no morals. I have no ethics. Gosh, it's just okay. Just don't be an asshole. It's just that easy, right? Before you just write something and then be like, "You know what? What does this do for me? Nothing." Delete it. Text your friend about it. Be like, "I found this video annoying," and they're like, "Yeah, me too." And then you all move on with your lives.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And that's my TED Talk.
And that's my TED Talk. We can delete that rant from the podcast. Ooh, all right. Let's get into the races we had this weekend because we get a lot. We actually have a lot to go through. Sorry, chap. I know you said go through that quickly, but we did not do that.
Imola.
Imola. I thought it was a great race. I give it like an 8.5.
I did. Yeah,
liked
it
it a
was
lot.
fun. It was enjoyable. It wasn't terrible. Things happened. Like there were actually passes being made on the track, so that was good.
The highs and lows of college football. You know, we had all of that in the race. It was great. Max Verstappen, or Maximus Verstappenus, I love that, won Red Bull's 400th race.
Yes. So he qualified not on pole, qualified on the front row alongside Oscar Piastri on pole. Oscar Piastri got a decent like initial launch off the line when the lights went out, and then got absolutely swallowed up by Max Verstappen. And that was kind of that. It was honestly wild.
Franz Hermann won Red Bull Racing's 400 race. Victory on debut. Show some respect. My apologies. Yeah, but I was
Mhm.
familiar with Max Verstappen's game. I'm just, like,
Yes.
that was a good move. But everyone's be like,
It was
oh
a
my
great
God, I
move.
can't believe you did that. I was like, no, I can. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I was like, no,
E-
like, why are we surprised by this? This is Max Verstappen. He's good.
Exactly.
He's great.
Yeah. Oscar kind of fumbled the start. Max raced him hard, but raced well. Like you could tell that he knew Oscar was good enough to like give him the space he was about to go yoink and wasn't gonna run him off the road. And Max did not do the same thing either, so that was good. Solid, like that's the start you need to have if you want to defend your world championship against a team that has already taken most of the wins this season.
Yeah, so Oscar braked early, but he didn't also cover Max Verstappen. He left that door open. I believe what
Yes.
happened was he saw George Russell ahead of Max Verstappen, so he went to fend off George, and then Max was like, whoop, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Always
Yeah.
defending Max Verstappen. You can pass George Russell
Yes.
eventually. 100% of that McLaren.
Exactly.
But you got to be careful with Max Verstappen.
Max Verstappen needs to be your number one.
We had, for the second Red Bull seat, Yuki Tsunoda had a massive shunt, crashed out in qualifying,
Yeah.
which was huge.
Yeah.
And he said later that he's going to work on not being the hero in qualifying.
Yes.
Which kind of, for me, raised a little alarm in the back of my head because similarly to Sergio Perez, when he had his incidents, kind of a loss of confidence, and then it just starts trending downwards, and then you get nervous.
Yeah.
Luckily in the race that didn't happen, right? Started from pit lane, got on the points. P10, we got yoints
Yeah.
from Yuki Tsunoda. And we love to see that.
Yoinks!
But I'm hoping the same
So-
thing doesn't happen with him as
Yeah.
has shown in the past with Sergio Perez and such.
With that quote about not being the hero, I wrote about this, so I have the full like in my head of all he was saying in that, and it was also the team made changes to the car that he did not have any time to test. So he was like, it was my bad. Like I went out there and drove the car the way I would drive a car I was confident in and knew how it would react, and it reacted differently because we made a bunch of changes. So he was very, I don't know. He was like, I'm not going to do that again, which,
Yeah, makes sense.
yeah, I think the don't be a hero thing was like, this is just a good line. That's a banger of a line.
Yeah.
But I think it kind of was fairly straightforward when you actually get down to it. But he did good, did decent in the race, made up a lot of positions. That's about as much as you can hope for.
I still think that if he shat gold bricks, Red Bull Racing would not re-sign him.
Correct.
Which is
Absolutely.
unfortunate.
Yeah.
So, here we are. And it sucks when you don't have your future even remotely set, unless he's been in talks with another team or something like that. But
Yeah.
It's
But it's
just
so
rough.
hard to kind of, you see so many drivers whose names are like floating around for seats in the market right now. And Yuki Tsunoda, no one is speculating about his future. No one is saying, we think he's going to go here. We've seen him, chatting with this person kind of the same way that we have seen with George Russell. So it's kind of not looking good.
then we had McLaren. They said they were surprised that Red Bull was so quick. And then Red Bull said, to counter that, they said their upgrades weren't that huge to have such an increase in speeds. McLaren that actually went backwards in their upgrades. And I was like, what are you guys doing with the Spider-Man meme of like, you did this. No, you did this. And I was like, oh, this is interesting quotes from Andrea Stella and what's going on in the McLaren Red Bull garages. No one actually knows.
Yeah.
We know Piastri got overtaken by Verstappen, and then his strategy and safety car just did not fall into place.
No,
For
it was not
Piastri.
good.
It was just not good for him. He had to climb his way back up through the grid, which was cool to see for me. I was like, oh,
It was cool.
Look at all these passes.
Yeah.
But
Then
unfortunately
we got
for
to
him,
the last stages of the race, and he had very old tires and could kind of do nothing with those.
I do love Norris on a casual radio call. He's like, hey, I'm just letting you know we should swap. He doesn't have to let me
Yeah.
through, but his tires are pretty cooked. Just if you want, no
I
big
can
deal.
see him.
I can see him. He's literally right in front of me. It was. I really appreciated that from Lando. I thought that was funny. McLaren let them race. I mean, Norris passed Piastri. It was like a little close for me. I was like, woo,
Yeah.
why do we have to do it there? But they were fine.
I mean, also it's Imola, so I feel like everywhere you're going to be like,
That's fair. That is fair.
maybe not right there.
Oh no. Piastri then did say right after he got out of the car when they do that post race conference, but like in between the podium and the car when they were asking him, he's like, "Yeah, this is not our best Sunday," and that made me laugh because he's obviously P3, and other teams would love to be on the podium. And this is when I say like the New York Yankees had a rough 2024, but we were still in the World Series, you know. Like for us, it was rough because we didn't win the championship. For him, it was rough because he didn't get P1. So he was like, it was not a strong Sunday for us. He's like, I got to review the data, go back with the team, check everything that happened, and see how we can do better for next time. I was like, damn. Okay, Piastri, let's go.
Yeah. We'll see how he does in Monaco.
Ferrari did not make it to Q3.
RIP. Ferrari and also Kimi Antonelli did not make it to Q3, so we had the like Italian triple threat not do well in their home race. Ferrari, they did actually have a decent enough race. They finished P4 and P6. So all things considered, like they did rally and perform in front of the home audience. I'm sure they would have liked a win or a podium or something, but considering how the rest of the season has gone, this is kind of a win.
I thought it was a little wild that I saw online after the Ferrari P4, P6, and people were like, we can't celebrate this. They shouldn't be P4, P6. They should be P1, P2. And I was like, look, I get what you're saying, but you can have some joy in your life as a Ferrari.
Yeah.
And if you look
everything
at where they
is
were,
relative.
Everything's relative. Like you can view this race as like we are trending upwards the right direction. Clearly something has worked for this race. Something in the upgrades has worked. Charles Leclerc and Hamilton figured it out. Like something is going right where you should be happy that they have figured it out and they're not P7, P8 or just dicking around. Yes, qualifying wasn't strong, but they obviously recovered nicely. And the fact that we're not seeing that kind of pattern and trend upwards being complimented and they're like, no. Like, okay.
Everyone just wants to be miserable.
Everyone just wants to be miserable. Fans were also a bit confused that when about the soft tire ask from Charles Leclerc, and Ferrari immediately saying, no, we're not going to do that. Again, the C6 has not been tested before. There was barely any data on it. They bought it to Bahrain. No one used it. They used it in free practice, but to my understanding, Alonso and Gasly barely made it last several laps. Like, it was just not good. And the safety car was... Sure, it was long, but they still had a lot of laps to go. Plus, Charles Leclerc had to defend and push. So that soft tire, bad news bears. Would have been dead. I think it would have lost a lot more positions that way. But the C6 is coming to Monaco.
Woohoo!
Yay. Williams double points, P5, P8. And this is where I take Ferrari's fan stuff and I bring it back to Williams and I'm saying, you underperform. We're going back. Sainz ultimately saying we don't execute well on Sundays in his post-race interview, which I agree. Sainz could have obviously qualified better if he didn't deal with traffic problems on his outlap and ultimately was faster than Alex Albon in qualifying and race pace simulations. Albon did have that argy-bargy with Leclerc. Leclerc was forced to give the position back, so Albon ultimately was fine with it, P5, P8. But yeah, I think if Sainz qualified better, I think he would have been right up there with Alex Albon. We could have been on a P4, P5. I think we could have had a lot more battles up there.
Yeah, they were very impressive. I was hoping we would get a Williams podium because it looked like maybe that could happen, but not quite there yet. But we're getting closer, which is good.
We love that. I remember, so for those of you who may not be aware, the New York Knicks has made it to the Eastern Conference Finals in the NBA. I haven't talked about that enough in the Discord. And I asked, how do I explain this in motorsport terms? And unanimously, everyone who DM'd me said it was like Williams in the 90s or Williams winning a championship again.
That's so funny.
And I was like, give the people what they want. The people yearn for a Williams podium. And that's what
we crave the Williams podium.
We just want to see them back. So I think we're close. Again, I think Williams is trending upwards, and I like that. I love seeing improvements. And that means there's going to be more battles, hopefully, towards the end of the year. If this just keeps showing that we're going to be fighting for like P4s, P5s, P3s. That's so fun.
Yeah. I think it's a good vote of confidence for the team. When Carlos Sainz joined, the reason he said that he chose Williams as opposed to anything else, one, he did kind of run out of options because he waited so long, but he said that he was impressed with the way that James Vowles was handling Williams, with the way that he was planning upgrades, and with the way that he talks about them, even to like investors of we're going to be realistic, and I'm going to say we are on a trajectory of maybe we'll win a race in a couple of years, but like I'm not going to tell you that's going to happen now, and I'm not going to tell you we're going to 180 it and suddenly we're going to be the best team on the grid. Um, so I'm glad that it's kind of paying off and that we're seeing those steps forward being made. I feel like that's got to feel good for Carlos Sainz, especially seeing the way Ferrari is going this year. He's at least in like a more positive atmosphere
Yes,
now. He's not like
absolutely.
mired in misery. He may not be like finishing as high as he would have, but again, it's all relative. So his finishes with Williams are actually things to celebrate.
Lurch says keeping the Williams name is a great trick to make people forget that's run by like a hedge fund or whatever. I mean, keeping the McLaren name is a great way to forget everyone that what half the company or 51% is owned by like the Bahrain government or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So, or oil and gas companies. But I mean, Mercedes makes that pretty obvious
Yeah.
with their name. But yeah,
That's just
we
how
can
it
say
is
that
now.
about every single team. Hedge fund is fine.
Yeah.
So you know, none of this shit is real. We live in a simulation. Great. Funded by a hedge fund, not run by one. Fernando Alonso is truly unlucky. Really quickly, Aston Martin did pit both cars really early. I think they kind of overreacted to some of the early pit stops, and then all the safety cars just compounded the problem, and the strategy is bleh. This man was fighting with Nico Hulkenberg in a Sauber for P10.
Oof.
So
Not good. They had a great moment in qualifying where they realized that the medium tires were faster than the softer tires and managed to get themselves into Q3. So that was Lance Stroll's first Q3 this season, which was good for him. The race they did not execute. It did not go well.
it did not go well. Alonso has had a very rough start to the season. He's still pointsless, and it's just. Meanwhile, Lance Stroll is like, yeah, I've gotten points. And he's like, this strategy just worked out. I haven't done anything. It's like, okay, whatever, Lance. And Alonso's fighting for his goddamn life. Colapinto, yeah, we talked about his drama, but he's just had a rough weekend in general. He had the qualifying crash. Then he just got stuck behind in the beginning, Nico Hulkenberg, the safety car issues. He was just not having a good race. And if we all remember, Flavio Briatore said he's fine as long as he doesn't crash, gets points, and drives fast. And I don't think he did any of that this weekend. So,
R.I.P. in pieces.
R.I.P..
Sorry, Frankie.
But Briatore also went back on what he said about Franco Colapinto, that he only has 5 races. He says now he has an unlimited number of races, as much time as he needs.
I don't buy it.
But also he said as long as he does those 3 things, which he did not do. So I'm just also confused about where Briatore is on this whole situation.
I think it's still a 5-race trial period. I think Briatore is assuming he will come back around at some point. I don't know. I would also like to spare a thought for the hometown son, Kimi Antonelli.
Yeah.
He talked about this after the race, that he was really taken off guard by the amount of energy he was spending off the track. He was like, I thought my home race I would do really well. I thought it would bolster me, but then I was not managing my energy. I was putting it, into media activations, into fans. He brought a ton of his friends to the track. And so he was like, I did not do what I needed to do this weekend, which I thought was a nice little bit of insight. He figured it out. He's got a second home race this year, so he can try again. But get this one out of the way early.
Everyone keep it in the back of your nug, and next year it's definitely going to be a storyline, because in 2024, I want to say 2023, we're not in 2024. In 2024, he crashed out in practice in George Russell's car, and that was a big thing. And now this year, though not his fault, he didn't complete the race. He DNF'd because of the car just shutting off on him. So it's like next year, is that Kimi's year? Is he going to finish this race? Someone's going to come up with that story article line and interview him about it. So just letting you know.
Are we going to have, is it Kimi's year the same way we have, is it Marco's year?
We're going to, yeah, whatever the storylines and drama we can drum up with in the motorsports community, that's absolutely what we're going to say.
You got to do it.
Let's pivot to Indy 500 qualifying, which was sick.
It was so good. I can't even tell you how great it is to watch 2 straight days of cars on track going really fast. Just fantastic.
Yeah.
We have Robert Schwartzman on pole.
Bobby
This is
Schwartz.
Bobby Schwartz. This is Prama's first pole in IndyCar. This is the first pole for a rookie since 1983, and the previous driver there was Teo Fabi. So he was the last rookie on pole. He also was Teo Fabi remains the last driver to also set a new fastest 1 lap and 4 lap average at the Speedway as a rookie. Bobby Schwartz did not do that, but he was close. He was close. Still got pole. And he is one of only a few Jewish drivers to ever take pole position at Indy. We have Maury Rose, who did it in 1941, Peter Revson in 1971, and Eddie Sachs in 1960, 1961. Although there's some folks are like, he wasn't Jewish, he was Catholic because he converted, but he was ethnically Jewish, so we still count him. Who knows? But it was a big day for the Prema team, celebrated like they won the race already, which was very cute. It was very nice.
IndyCar came out with that it was the first 500 pole for a rookie team since 1984. But I'm also very hesitant on all these stats that I'm hearing at like officially and unofficially. I texted Elizabeth this. I swear I heard on the broadcast that for the first time, no American is qualified in the first 2 rows. There's something along those lines. And then Elizabeth fact-checked it for myself in the pod. 2010 had 2 rows of non-Americans.
Yes, first
So
2 rows.
So it's been some time, but...
Yeah. And then 2015 again had the same thing. But 2010, and I even went, and because Ash raised this point, were they naturalized Americans? Could we like claim that one of these foreign-born drivers was an American citizen? Not in 2010. You certainly couldn't. All of those drivers were either, have either maintained their international citizenship or became naturalized after that point. I fucking looked it up.
She did.
Because I have to know. I can't just let a stat like that exist and not know for sure.
There was a lot of things said on the broadcast. You pointed this out where Will Buxton said that Prema Racing developed the likes of Max Verstappen or something along those lines.
Yeah. So Will Buxton brought this point up multiple times. The only reference you can find for this is Will Buxton
his own
in a blog. I haven't really dug into it because I don't quite know how, but there was a like winter national series in Florida in the early
like
2010s. Yeah. The apparently Max Verstappen competed one race or maybe a couple races for them, but it's not listed on anything. They were not talking about this anywhere aside from Will Buxton. And there's no, like, when you look up the Formula Winter Series, you don't get, like, you get the drivers, but not what teams they were racing for. So I wouldn't quite go so far as what Will Buxton was implying in saying that from a developed Max Verstappen, because I don't think you could say that they did, but maybe it seems like they did give him a seat at some point, but I don't think that they were like, I don't know.
I think that whole
A race
series
at
might have been
Sebring ain't shit.
ran or like supported by Prema Racing for all the drivers. It was only 4 races. It was like Sebring, which is so funny to think that in 2014, Max Verstappen and all these slew of other drivers, some who I recognize and some I did not, were just stuck in the bowels of Florida.
I know.
While I was in college getting shit-faced. And they were in Sebring and had to stay in Sebring. But yeah, so I'm happy that I can text Elizabeth. I'm like, this is what I heard on the broadcast. Is this true?
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I was telling Chris. Chris was like, because he pointed it out on our script and was like, she wants you to fact check this, and I was like,
okay, I didn't say you need to do it. I just said I need to fact check this.
He it's gonna be me because I'm gonna see that and I'm gonna go, I gotta fucking know. And he was like, how are you gonna do that? Well, the easiest way is to pull up all of the races where there wasn't an American pole sitter, and then that narrows it down to like 20 races. So
funny.
Yeah, I was like, I can discount most of these years right off the bat.
Ooh,
Uh,
let's get into the Team Penske drama.
Team Penske, we've had some shenanigans. All three cars were quick and made it into the Fast 12. And then Sunday morning during warm-up, Scott McLaughlin crashes. And it was a big crash. It was a crash that like caused a big groove to be dug out of the pavement in the track. And for the second time in several, I think 3 years, a wheel tether snapped. Just let a wheel go, which is not supposed to happen. McLaughlin is fine. He was back out yesterday during Monday practice. And yeah, so he was out. So we're sitting, we're lining up for Fast 12. And then suddenly we see Will Power's car being wheeled back to the garage. And we see Newgarden, Joseph Newgarden, his car getting wheeled back to the garage. So what happened? Apparently, their attenuator was illegally sealed. If you don't know what an attenuator is, that's all right. I don't think anyone does. It is
Or did.
basically yeah,
This
it is
weekend.
basically a fancy name for a deformable crash structure on the back of the car. So if it hits the wall at the rear, this should absorb the G-forces of that and prevent the drivers from getting headaches and head trauma because they were complaining about that. So that's why this attenuator exists. There are two little pieces of the attenuator next to each other. Penske had filled in a little seam where those two panels connect. This is technically illegal. It qualifies as modification of a standardized part. But now we're wondering, how long have they had this? What benefit would sealing this little gap have? Like, what exactly are they getting from this? Did Joseph Newgarden have this last year? There's rumors that apparently he did, but the only rumors for that are coming from Marshall Pruitt taking a photo of the Joseph Newgarden's car in the IMS museum, and you can never quite guarantee that a museum car is actually a raced car perfectly, that they pulled it off the track and plopped it right in. All things said, both of the drivers were pulled out of line in qualifying and were unable to qualify in the Fast 12. And the next day were penalized. So Joseph Newgarden will start the race from 32nd, and Will Power will start from 33rd. Both teams were fined $100,000, and both teams will lose qualifying points for this infraction. They've also had their strategists kicked off for the rest of the month.
Okay, I know you guys are saying 2024. I don't give a shit. The car passed inspection. That is not his,
Yeah.
like, done. That part is not, like, hidden inside the body where you had to, like, move things around. It is right there. If you can tell from a photo, and they didn't tell in 2024, he is the winner of the 2024 Indy 500 for all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
Can you
This
imagine?
is
Like, this is ridiculous. Like, you're not going to, you inspect, a year ago, we're going to try to give up a winner through a photo. Guys,
Yeah.
what are we doing
I
here?
was gonna say if this is anything, it's a sign that IndyCar's tech inspection standards are bad, as K4YLR is saying. So this that's something that needs to be addressed. When they say the strategists are gone, what does that actually mean? The strategists are not allowed to be at the track and theoretically are not allowed to communicate with the team during the Indy 500. There are often ways around that. So we'll see what impact this has.
Don't forget, Penske also owns IndyCar, and there were
Penske owns
fines.
IndyCar, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway,
Yes.
Ilmore Engines, the Chevy engines, and also the team. So
So he is taking money from one hand and putting it in the other.
yeah. There's a lot of moralizing happening about this, and I think that
hate all of
that's
this.
so annoying. I think it's okay to be annoyed that a team cheated. I think it's okay to be annoyed about all of what's going on. I don't think it's an indictment on the moral character of anyone on the team, of the team owner, or anything of that nature, because I will have you know, cheating is racing. It has been embedded in the DNA of motorsport for the entirety of motorsport. I'm currently reading The Unfair Advantage by Mark Donohue, which talks about how Mark Donohue and Roger Penske spent their entire racing career together looking at rule books and finding ways to find an unfair advantage, which is basically just another name for cheating. I don't know what to tell y'all. That's just how it goes. If anyone is not cheating out on that grid, I would be shocked. That's just how it goes. I don't know why we're continuing to have this discourse about this, about how Roger Penske is a terrible person and Joseph Newgarden is a morally corrupt driver and all of this chaotic nonsense that's been going on, when this is like what motorsport is about. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Also, didn't Andretti try to compromise Colton Herta's crash structure to save weight this year?
Yeah.
Did we? And no, for some reason we didn't talk about that for 60 fucking days.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Exactly.
The driver, the safety of their driver was compromised by trying to save weight on their car. Yet I'm not hearing anything about that. But God forbid Penske puts a seam. I get it.
Yeah.
They cheated. They got fined. They're 32nd and 33rd. And everyone, these drivers.
This is the thing. They got punished. They got punished. They got a big punishment. There are a lot of people who are apparently now mad about Jacob Abel not being promoted into the race. Here's the thing. Jacob, I don't know why people are so pressed about this. Because you have a driver who was very not quick. I don't think that Jacob Abel is a bad driver. I don't think that he is like unqualified to race the Indy 500, but I do think that if he did not make the grid this year, the reason he didn't do that is because he wasn't quick enough. If you put him in that race and he is not able to compete in that race because he is not quick, you're doing a disservice to him as a driver, to the other drivers on the grid, and to the team itself. I heard a lot of criticism because what Doug Boles said is there's no mechanism in place for this. There's no mechanism in place to take Jacob Abel, put him in, and make Penske decide which of its two drivers are going to be in the race and which is not going to be in the race. And people were like, well, there's no mechanism for what they've done in penalizing Penske, where once you sign the results at the end of pole day and bump day at the speedway, those are like supposedly set in stone. You cannot modify them after that unless there is something major that happens.
Yeah.
I would consider this something major that has happened. I would consider this a problem. I also would like to remind everyone that the Indianapolis 500 has been going on for over 100 years, and the results for the first race were wrong and no longer exist because the founder of the Speedway knew they were wrong and burned them. So if you want to complain about how there is no history of this at any point in the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, go back and look at fucking history. Because race number 1, we don't know who won, and we don't know who should have won because they burned the records. That is my case for y'all.
I did see someone talk about corruption in this. I don't know if there's this. It's not like Gotham. I'm just like when I hear
if there was corruption, do you think Chip Ganassi would be winning every race this season? No, not a single Chevrolet has won yet this year. What are we doing?
I wouldn't say corruption. I would just say that the IndyCar checks, technical inspections, something needs to be revamped.
Yeah.
If this got away in 2024, then maybe we should have done that before. And if they had this entire time and no one's realized this, like the part is right there. The fact that you can look at it through like pictures, like it's not hidden. It's right there. And like the fact that this says one car passed inspection, was it the 12 or the 2? One of them passed inspection and then the other one didn't. But then Tim Cindric said they knew the other car also had it. So in their due diligence, they didn't let both cars go in qualifying.
Yeah.
Which, damn, I would have been like, no, we passed. See you later.
Yeah, I'm out.
Bye. So we should be catching spec or modified standard parts, absolutely. And the fact that we didn't is like, I think the bigger story. And I don't know if they're trying to save their ass there, or I just don't know why we're not talking about that. Like, yeah, hey Penske, whatever. I don't care. If we could just stop talking about this, they're punished, and maybe one day we can fix the tech.
Yeah,
the tech there.
Yeah,
throw Rocket off the pagoda. No, Rocket told me that I have to buy a house where he lives, like an hour outside of Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Because that's where the affordable homes are for millennials like me. He was giving me real estate advice at Thermal last year, which I really appreciated because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. He's like, you don't want to do the fancy stuff, okay? That man knows a lot of things.
That's so funny.
I also, this could be controversial, and I'm just going to say it. We can cut this out of the pod. And I love for chat to come in here. I do dislike journalists speculating. As in, I expect my journalists to report facts. And it's like, oh, I went to the museum and I saw this. And I was like, great. Yeah. But we don't actually know it's the official car. They're like, oh, the employees in that museum are saying that it is. And I was like, okay, but it has Penske and IMS. As Doug Bowl said, that is the official car. Because I would believe those two. If I worked in a museum for minimum wage, I would say whatever the hell you wanted me to say. I'd be like, yeah, sure, it says the official car.
Yeah.
Is
it... Again, it's the official car, but is it the car pulled right from the track and put directly in there? Or is it the car that had a little look-see after the race? Is it a car that we played around with so that no one could see our special part that we put into place?
It's the zoomed-in CSI photographs of Joseph Newgarden at the line, at the brick line, at the finish line. 2024, zoomed in, enhanced, saying, oh, it looks exactly the same like the museum one. You can't tell. What are you doing? This is ridiculous. And it's like, oh, I can't confirm, but I'm going to post it to my thousands of followers who follow me for news and facts that I've double-clicked in this photo. And I'm like, what are you doing? Stop.
Yeah.
What is this?
It truly blows my mind. It is just rumor mongering and trying to get people to click and engage and stir up a lot of people's frustrations that are already naturally running high in this whole entire situation. I don't know. I think it raises a concern that I think we should pay more attention to in motorsport journalism, which is which journalists are friendly with everyone and which journalists are like reporting. I'm working on a thing right now about this for my Deadly Passions Terrible Joy Substack, but there's a trade-off that comes into play when you've got someone giving you these like insider scoops of what the series wants them to say or what the driver wants them to say. Mm-hmm. I know for a fact that teams have given journalists information and said, we want you to report on this because it harms our rival team. Or we're going to give you a scoop and, we don't want you to ask for comment from the other team. We just want you to kind of like run this. So I don't know. Take things with a grain of salt. If there's always someone that seems like they're either personally friendly or have personal vendettas, like with these drivers and these team owners and stuff, like caution. I know that I am an opinionated person, so this applies for me as well. Like by all means, scrutinize my ass. Try to take a more like objective view of these things and try to figure out where they're coming from.
It's just the journalists that I thought that I could trust suddenly turned into TMZ over this whole Penske thing. And I was just like, what are we? And then even then they would tweet something. Fine, I'll say it. Jennifer Iyer tweeted something and then was like, oh, I actually learned that it was this, but like keeps the original tweet of the wrong information. And I was like, what are we doing? Your original tweet with the wrong information has so many views right now, and not everyone's going to see your correction. Like, what are we doing? And the double-clicking photos was Marshall Pruitt, and I always read all his stuff, and he's like, oh, I went here, and I, like, saw this photo, so I enhanced it. I was like, what? And he's like, maybe, potentially. And I was like, what are we doing? You're just, like, stirring this because you know you'll get clicks and views from the Reddit who hates Penske, IndyCar,
Yeah,
our IndyCar is all over it. Like, what are we doing?
I know. It's
They
a lot.
call
And
them
it's
out.
coming from people who are trusted sources
I thought I
that
could
you
trust
think you
them.
should be able to look at them and say this is fact, when you are not necessarily getting anything other than speculation. It's okay to speculate if you say this is speculation, but I feel like reporting on it and making a big thing about it is not appropriate for your position as a person who's supposed to convey actual legitimate information.
I mean, I'd love to talk if I run into Marshall Pruitt. I would love to talk to him about it because I just think he has. Is this okay? Sorry, here's my issue. He does say that it is speculation, and he's like, I can't
Yeah.
confirm that the car in the museum is the 2024 exact, the one from the track in here, plopped in, etc. He does say that, but he has so many followers and people again who trust him that
Yeah.
even if he does say that with that caveat, they're gonna ignore that and just take what he says that he found the car in the museum looks exactly the same from last year's winner, blah 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 blah. Like,
Yeah.
is it not his responsibility? I don't know. I don't know the answer. He is reporting on what he sees. I get that, but it's so like
Yeah.
TMZ to me of like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't know. I was like, great.
You're
They're
not
just
reporting any news or anything. You're just kind of like trying to find your own answers. And I don't know. If you're not telling me what you used to enhance this photo and like what you've done to like find this information, like if you're just zooming in on your smartphone, I
even
can see
then,
a
like
lot
you
of things
can't
in a
tell. Like I
zoom in
don't know what it
smartphone.
looked like a year ago,
Yeah.
or like the shadow looks the same as the other one. It's like I'm not believing this.
Yeah.
And then
Of
we
all things, it's a very small problem. Like how are you supposed to tell whether a seam is filled or not from a photo from last year?
which is taken like in pit lane a little bit, even though with a nice camera or whatever. Like
Yeah.
it's just like what are we?
What are
I
we
just
doing?
hate it. And I get it, first to market, and I guess you get the clicks, and people hate Penske, so it doesn't really matter. It's just like, this is. Bleh. We do need to talk about IndyCar Tech Inspection. Needs to be, I think, a
Yeah.
separate entity, I guess. I don't know how they would want to resolve the issue of them doing checks
Yeah.
in the future for something like this.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That's the big concern to me is if you've got if a car was approved for a race, I do not think that you can go back in time and say, actually, we changed our mind on this because you can rewrite history however you want if you do that. You can, go back and make other issues. And I also think it is extremely unfair to take a win away from someone and give it to someone else, even if there has been some form of rampant cheating involved, just because I feel like that ruins it. 1981, Mario Andretti was crowned the winner of the Indy 500, and the actual winner was Bobby Unser.
mm-hmm.
Mario Andretti got the ring, he got the celebration, etc. after the race. Bobby Unser got the milk and victory lane. Both of those men, to this, like, I guess not to this day, but for decades after, held on to that and said it was ruined. The race was ruined because the guy who won was not the guy who won. They gave a win to someone, they took it away, gave it to someone else. Mario Andretti still has that winner's ring and wears that winner's ring. Bobby Unser didn't get it, even though he technically became the winner of that race. So, like, you're just causing a lot of problems that you don't need to cause, particularly because you got the okay on that car and, like, people said it was fine.
Yeah, Smet makes a good point. It was the car approved in pre and post race.
Yeah, exactly. If you go through that, I don't think you should be allowed to go back and like take that away.
Also,
You know
then
what I
do
mean?
you
Like,
have the McLaren from 2024 and make sure they passed all the
yeah,
inspections and don't
exactly.
do anything sussy as well?
And if we're like just looking at photos, who knows what kind of manipulations can happen? I think that's the thing that I'm also concerned about with this, zoom in and enhance. If you're not looking at a raw photo, you don't know. You're looking at an edited image most likely, especially if it's a promote or like a professional image coming from a professional IndyCar photographer. You're looking at something that has been through post-processing software. Um, you, it's just too much. Like you're creating problems that you're going to dig yourself into a hole that you cannot get out of.
Yeah. All right, that was my rant. Thank you so much. I've been noticing journalists who are doing pretty well. I've been leaning now towards Nathan Brown because he's been reporting like very like rumored, not confirming, supposed like very obviously, and just like he's not reporting on it. I don't know, like it.
Yeah.
I've been leaning towards him, and I think he's a journalist for a newspaper in Indianapolis.
Indy Star.
Okay, I was going to say that, but I wasn't sure. Okay, perfect. Yeah. So
Yes.
that's who I'm leaning towards. And Elizabeth Blackstock, thank you so much.
Thanks, besties. We also had last chance qualifying, as well as Team Penske drama on Sunday. It was Marco's year to make the Indy 500. He just narrowly snuck in. The team, I've seen a lot of people looking at Marco and saying, why isn't he better? Why are the other Andretti drivers better than him right now? Marco has one engine. He has to make this engine last for the whole event. They ran in reduced power settings leading up to qualifying to preserve speed, and then we get to qualifying and they could not be like as fast as they wanted to. So he's doing fine. He's not racing constantly. He's not doing this full time. He's in it for one-off. And also he's kind of like down power. He only has one engine because that they cost money. The teams who are chartered and who are going to get additional money in the final standings when the prize purse is distributed are going to focus more on getting their engines together and spending the money on those, because you get more money if you were a full-time chartered team than if you are not. Yeah. So that's why. But he did sneak in. He did make it. We had the moment of Graham Rahal versus Marco Andretti, who's about to get bumped out and have to do LCQ. Didn't happen. We just had him. In our last chance qualifying, we had Marco Andretti, Marcus Armstrong, Jacob Abel, and Rinus VK. Marcus Armstrong ended up in that session because he crashed before qualifying, couldn't get the car put together. Well, they got the car like put together and he just couldn't be quick with it. So they had to go to this last chance session. And the Dale Coyne Racing teammates Jacob Abel and Rinus VK. Marco and Marcus were both quick enough to kind of set those two first fast times and take the like 31st and 32nd spots. And then it came down to Dale Coyne, which of their drivers was going to get 33. So VK on his first run, his hybrid failed to deploy. They made adjustments and went out for a second run and went slower.
I can't believe they went out for that second run.
Yeah, and not only did they like go, they scrapped their time to guarantee that they got the full 4 laps and went slower. Jacob Abel did his first qualifying run and it was slow. He came back to the pits. They cooled the car down. He went out, not for a qualifying run, but a slow lap on the track to get air into the car to further cool it down. Went out and went slower too. And he went slower still than Rinus VK, despite Rinus VK also going slower. Jacob Abel out, Rinus VK in. Dale Coyne was allowed to operate. Dale Coyne wanted his 2 teams to operate independently, so there's like no team orders apparently. They interviewed him on the stand and he seemed remarkably calm for a man who's about to miss this race, like guaranteed. It wasn't good. It wasn't good, but
they interviewed.
We got a complete grid.
Him, gosh, in one of the pit boxes. I forgot what he said. He's like, "Are you ever playing chess with yourself?" I thought that was so funny. It was very chill about the whole situation. So
yeah. All things considered. So that was our grid. We've got chaos. Let me put the full link to the grid in here. There are a lot of other little miniature storylines to look at. Takuma Sato second on the grid. That man is just fast. He's just so fast. I don't know how he does it. Yeah, I love qualifying for the 500. It makes my heart happy.
What if he wins again? I want all these people to win, but they can only one person can win. Yeah,
I would love that. I think that'd be great.
I know. That'd be sick. But then you also want Castroneves to be the most decorated Indy 500. At the same time, you want that storyline so you can get 5.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you're like, oh, I want Pato O'Ward to get his first. And you're like, okay, maybe Alex Palou getting his first. It's just like,
I
I
know
want all
Alex
these
Palou getting
people
his
to
oval
win.
win.
Yeah.
Robert Schwartzman somehow
That'd be great.
managing to manage the entire 500 and come out rookie pole sitter to win. Be freaking slick. Like there's so Scott Dixon tried and failed 1,000 times, only got that one win, got 900 pole positions, couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah, very much. I hope all the drivers have fun. I appreciate that.
Yes.
We can talk about the Fox broadcast. I like this note that you made
Yes.
here.
So the Fox broadcast, the booth of James Hinchcliffe, Townsend Bell, and Will Buxton was fine. It was fine. We had, when they went to Fox proper, we had a build up and lead in from Chris Myers and Danica Patrick. Danica was fine. Think of her how you will, but at least she knows IndyCar. So she's more qualified to talk about IndyCar than Formula One. Chris Myers, we are spreading that man's talent too thin.
Yeah, it's definitely a Fox issue because I noticed they're bringing a lot of talents. Oh, he covers a lot. Like he's covered.
Yes.
He does NASCAR, which I get, but he does college football. Mm-hmm. He's like a broadcasting legend. We're even bringing in like Aaron Andrews, and I was like, could Fox not have hired or just like done motorsports people? I love them. They're good, but they're just like.
Josh Sims was fantastic at the All-Star race this weekend. Mm-hmm. They moved him from pit reporting to like kind of presenting. Fabulous. Did an insanely great job. I don't understand why we couldn't have like given Chris Myers time to like Kansas off, time to prepare in the build up to this. It was not good. His presenting was not great. You could tell that he was not fully prepared, that he did not have the time put in to make this happen. He said that it was the Daytona 500 several times. He mispronounced several of the drivers' names when he was speaking to them. These are not great. I was talking
notes to remember the names of Hinchcliffe, Townsend Bell, and Will Buxton.
Yeah. I was talking to Chris about this, and he was like, "Don't go too hard on Chris Myers because, like, he is a legend." Apparently, his son died, and hours later, he was on air presenting many a year ago. And he did a great job at that point. I just think, like, if we're getting to this point where you have these legends, they're not going to be 1,000% perfect forever. They're not going to be at their peak capacity forever. I hope that when I am Chris Myers' age, I am not being, like, used for 1,000 different things and pulled in 1,000 different directions. I would love to be able to focus and do a really good job at, like, specific things. Because at this point in his career, he has absolutely earned the right to be able to pick and choose the things that get the focus. If he wants to do the Indy 500, by all means, let him, but give him time to get in that mindset first. It was rough.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of if folks watch College Game Day, Lee Corso. Absolute legend. He's earned his right to retire. Yes. He's been in the broadcast game for a long time in College Game Day, and everyone knows him. But just so, Chris Myers again, absolute legend. I just don't think they are ready for it. And like, I get it. I don't remember. Like, I love Erin Andrews. I love her, but she's interviewing Joseph Newgarden. And I'm like, what are these questions?
Yeah, what are we doing? What's going on?
And I was like, is Fox telling them just like, oh, here are these questions we're asking and making it like very. I don't know if Fox is not preparing or what's going on. It's just very frustrating to see. And, like, I know they have the Fox talent for motorsports and stuff, and they can draw people in from, gosh, I bet there's people from the NASCAR world they can, like, force to know about the Indy 500 who do know about it and can come in. It's just very interesting to see who they pick and choose. And it's wild that Danica Patrick is the best one on there.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that crazy?
Yay.
Whack.
Be careful what you wish for. Oh, yeah, why? Mike Joy's going to come in? And I know. And I think Lee Diffie would be great, but he's with NBC. So they can't. I know. That's how you end up with Clint Bauer at the 500.
Not Clint Boyer. No. Clint Boyer and Townsend Bell in the booth together, I think.
Oh,
I
That's
think would be my
I feel like
Joker
Clint would be
moment.
fine.
I think he'd be
Get Kevin
annoying.
Harvick in there. That would be fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Kevin Harvick, fine. Absolutely. He would have a blast.
You can't say bell end on broadcast TV.
It's technically a curse word.
Bell end?
Just because it's not a bad one for us, I think. It's like the C word. Australians can go ahead and say that on television, but
It's
if
like
we
the
say that,
C
we're going to
word?
get nuked. I don't think it is exactly, but
Can I say the B word? Oh, interesting. I've just never heard it as a bad word. That's wild. Okay. Up next, NASCAR All-Star race. I 100% did not watch it. I had no interest. I did not care. It was also at 8 p.m. and I was done for the day.
that's fair. Hold on, so I was texting my boss.
Michael Waltrip Indy grid walk incoming.
Oh, fuck. The All-Star race, I enjoyed it. It was fun. We had Christopher Bell taking the win, roughing up Joey Logano to get the victory after the promoter's caution forced a restart. It was fun. Carson Hocevar won the open race. John Hunter Nemechek was the runner-up. They both were able to advance to the All-Star. Shane Van Gisbergen qualified on pole for the open, but gambled on tires, and then it didn't work out for him, so he dropped back quite a bit. Noah Gragson got the fan vote. Brad Keselowski, strong pole position, got wrecked himself right after starting pretty strong. Kyle Larson started dead last and passed his way up into the top 10. Strategy call for 2 tires failed, and Kyle Larson broke a toe link hitting the wall. And Michael McDowell's number 71 team won the pit stop challenge for a $100,000 payday. I quite liked their qualifying format that they had where you like go out and do a lap, then come into the pits, have them change tires and count that toward the pit stop challenge and then go back out and race again and like do a lap again. I thought it was so much fun. Goodyear brought tires used at Bowman Gray and Martinsville earlier this year, which weren't perfect for a short race like the All-Star, but if we were to somehow, for some reason, do a 400-mile points race for the Cup Series at North Wilkesboro, they would be great for that. Phil Surgeon, the crew chief for Ross Chastain, said, "I would say this tire is fairly matched up with the track. The year of age on the track, I think, is probably a bigger factor than what the tire was this year, and I'd say another couple years and this place is going to be really racy, although it looked pretty good tonight. You've got a couple lanes, 3 wide at times, so it's getting there with a little more aging, and it was fun. It was great." But rumor mill again, North Wilkesboro getting a points paying race in 2026. The broadcast was hinting at this. It's not confirmed, but it is like people are like, hey, points race at Wilkesboro, Queen, points race at Wilkesboro tonight. They're like kind of priming for it.
Got it.
The question is which SMI date goes to be able to make that happen. Could be Coda, could be Charlotte, could be Bristol. They're not going to do Charlotte, but like there's some options here. I've got some thoughts on what I think it's going to be. I don't know if I'm allowed to say them because they're coming from rumors from folks in the know. But we also had promoters' cautions, which is a gimmick, and I didn't like it. I didn't like it. It's basically like stage racing. The problem was that the cars were getting really racy after like 50-ish laps, and it was getting really fun, and then they'd throw a caution, and it was like, oh, now we like, minimize the need for a green flag pit stop. Boring ass fucking stop. Just stop. We don't need this nonsense. It drives me crazy.
Remove Bristol Day.
Yeah.
And I love Bristol. Yeah, people definitely.
Bristol needs to be a night race, or it doesn't need to be there at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the big drama at the end of the race was Michael Waltrip. He's up in the
Oh,
flag stand
yeah.
and he's like hamming it up with the crowd. Should I throw the promoter's caution? When should I throw the promoter's caution? 5 laps until the promoter's caution? When should I do it? And then Kyle Larson hit the wall, so it brought out the caution anyway. But I think a lot of drivers were annoyed after the race because they knew that Waltrip was up there like hamming it up
Yeah.
and then assumed that there was no need for that caution at the end, that it was just a promoter's caution that
Right.
ended up
There was no
happening.
point.
It needed to happen. But I think the fact that you've got so many people who are like, why would you do that at that time? Like, that was so stupid. I think that shows you what the drivers think about it.
He also dropped the
Let them
flag.
be free. Yeah, he also dropped the fucking flag. Oh my God.
I haven't seen that everywhere.
Oh,
People have been giving him a hard time
flag.
for it, which I appreciate.
That was insane. Didn't he? They were saying on the broadcast he like dropped his phone onto the track at one
Oh,
point
I don't know about that.
previously as well when he was up there. So
But he did
not
have
this
one
race,
job.
but somewhere. Yeah, I know. It's like when anytime I've ever gone up there, they're like, keep your things on you at all times. Leave anything that might fly off your head down here, not up there. Like, don't hang over the edge. Don't drop anything. Girl, it's not that hard.
I was stressed when I waved the green flag at Laguna Seca last year that like I was practicing beforehand, like in the booth with the ladies that were up there. I also, since I was wearing long sleeves, what I did is put the flag, whatever it's called, the
Stick.
the thing that holds up the fabric of the flag, like in my sleeve. So if I were to drop it, I would have like a second because it would be stuck like in here because it would be aligned.
Yeah.
You know,
You could
I
like
thought about
maybe
everything.
save it.
Yeah, maybe save it. You know,
It was a mess.
it was
But
a hot mess. Didn't
it
someone
was
drop something at the pagoda from Indianapolis one time? Like someone dropped a sand. Someone dropped something. God, was it Daytona maybe? And I hear this all the time. People make fun of it or allude to some
so funny.
crew member that dropped something, and they're like, "Don't do that."
Dropping a sandwich on someone from the pagoda
Oh
would
yeah,
be
spotter
so
dropped a
funny.
sandwich. That's what. Yeah,
He just got sandwiched.
surprise flags don't come with like a Wii remote or strap thing. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Always surprising. And got kicked off the spotter stand. Yeah, don't want to
You
drop a
get her.
sandwich. That'd be terrible.
Keep your sandwiches reined in.
We do have a lot this weekend. The last Motorsport Christmas, as Chap and Elizabeth write in the notes. Yes, Monaco has an extension till at least 2033, but because of that, they'll move from the last Sunday in May to the first Sunday in June starting next year. So this is the last time, for now, for a while, we'll have Monaco in the morning, Indy 500, and then the Coke 600.
Yes.
Boo!
Very frustrated. I know.
Boo!
I hate it. The problem that I personally have with this is that they're talking about like they're moving Monaco largely in order to accommodate moving the Canadian Grand Prix to sit alongside the Miami Grand Prix. Sustainability wise, that's fantastic. Scheduling wise, it potentially the Canadian Grand Prix may now be the Indy 500. Those two things are going to be running at the exact same time. That's pisses me off.
Wait, is that
in
true?
so many ways. Yes.
Is that wait?
They're not quite.
Oh,
They're
they haven't moved it yet.
The Canadian Grand Prix is going to be the third or fourth weekend in May. So it is either going to be qualifying or it is going to be 500. Yeah. Yeah. Very terrible. Very awful.
Why would they do that?
It is this sustainability thing. Like they're trying to keep the North American
Why can't you just
continent
make it
races
right
back
after
to
Miami?
back. I think they're moving Miami as well. Yeah, I know. They're moving like Miami, I think, a little bit further down and like a week later or something because they can't move it very much. They don't have much flexibility on that. It's very annoying, but it also makes me think that they just didn't check or either didn't care. I just don't know how many people in the FIA understand that these things happen at different times. Yeah.
A bunch of doofuses. There's no way they didn't know.
I know. They probably did, and they probably did on purpose.
The rest of the world will watch F1 over Indy. Ooh, that's a ballsy assumption.
Yeah.
That is ballsy if you don't think people don't watch the Indy 500. I think
I hate it.
when I went to Indy 500, I realized I said 2 years ago on a podcast recently. It's 3 years ago, which blows my mind.
Oof.
Yeah, I'm getting old.
Time passes.
Time passes. Who knew? At the Indy 500, in attendance, I think they had every single state represented in like 30 plus countries
Yeah.
for people attending the Indy 500.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I get it.
I don't know.
I understand not every single person will be tuning in. You'll definitely lose America.
Yeah.
Hands down. Like, that's the easiest thing I've ever seen. Like, an open and shut case.
Yeah. It seems very, I don't know. It's very frustrating to me that they would do, you want to grow in North America, right? To do that, you need to respect what actually exists here in the United States and in North America and what our major races are, and understand that, like, I don't give a fuck if you schedule every other F1 race to conflict with another IndyCar race.
Yeah.
The 500 is the only one that matters, and I don't understand why we would have to have them at the exact same time. That just shows that you have turned your nose up to the actual motorsport
You just don't
watching
care about
audiences.
racing.
Yeah.
You just care about having a show. Yeah, and Perry makes a good point. Several F1 drivers would actually be mad about it, considering, like, Max Verstappen always talks about, like,
Yeah.
I'm done with this media day. I'm going to go watch the Indy 500. Piastri has talked about he wants to watch the Indy 500. Alonso watches the Indy 500. So.
Yeah. And I don't know. You get the conflicts and you preclude drivers from being able to race, and like, they're usually not going to skip a race anyway. But we have the same thing this year with Le Mans, and that also frustrates people, is that Le Mans is the same weekend as the Canadian Grand Prix and IndyCar at Gateway and NASCAR Mexico. So all of these big major events happen. I mean, some of them aren't quite as major, but all of these events happening. Drivers who are in IndyCar can't make the trip over to Le Mans because they got to race at fucking Gateway. Pato O'Ward can't go race NASCAR Mexico because he's got to race Gateway. Just crazy.
Yeah, there are people who, Dorky makes a great point. There are Americans who don't give a crap about IndyCar and only watch the Indy 500.
Yeah, it's like it is an institution.
Yes, it was last year. I think it was last year that Max and Alonso, or 2 years ago, they're annoyed they were going to miss the start of the Indy 500 because of the media session was taking a little bit. Yeah, so
That's funny.
They're like, oh, it's 2 years ago, not last year, because Max was even on the podium. He was like P5.
Was this last year? They would have made it.
Last year, Max
they would have made it.
Yeah, you don't schedule against the Indy 500. Oh yeah, you don't schedule against Le Mans.
Yeah, that one especially.
Those two
is so annoying.
You just don't give a shit about racing.
Yeah.
As the FIA, you just care, which is wild because the Le Mans would be the FIA World Endurance Championship. You just think Formula One's better than you. Ugh, I hate it. Back to Monaco. Probably, like I said again, I wrote the dataless C6 tire again because no one knows how the fucking thing's gonna act. They do need to do 2 pit stops. Remember, regardless if it was wet or dry session, even if it is raining, they will do 2 pit stops. You'll put on some more wet weather tires, or you'll figure it out. And fun fact, this is from Lights Out blog, which I really liked. A win for a Mercedes-powered engine would see Mercedes equal Ford Cosworth as the most successful engine manufacturer at the Monaco Grand Prix. I'm sure that was a fun fact.
That's a little pat yourself on the back stat.
I like that for
That's
Mercedes.
a cool one.
They have a lot of good odds because a lot of cars are Mercedes-powered on that grid. So I think they got pretty good odds of a Mercedes.
I was going to say the favorites, I think, for the race with McLaren probably are going to be the favorites.
Yeah, and I just don't. And again, I think Monaco's going to be an outlier for all the trends that I think we talked about and all the news and upgrades that people bought. Monaco's just a weird track, and we know the cars are too big for any crazy overtaking. Qualifying will be huge, and then they're hoping with a 2 pit stop rule, it will cause some kind of chaos, which is frustratingly gimmicky to me. But whatever, what can I do?
Fred Vasseur was talking about this, and he said that the biggest problem will be if there's an early safety car, because he thinks that every single team and every single driver is going to pit their cars during that like first 5 lap safety car and then swap to hard tires. And whatever, get their first stop out of the way. And he's like, we're not going to make it if they do that because this pit lane's not big enough for all of us.
Oh no.
Yeah.
R.I.P. That's why it's just like, I get it. Like, I don't know. That's why it was like, oh, you have to do 2 pit stops. You have to use these tires. It's like, you're just causing pain for certain times. But we'll see how Monaco goes. Again, Monaco will be at 9 a.m. Eastern, and it should end right before. Let's say it's hopefully a 2.5 hour race. Should end at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. And Indy 500 coverage starts at 10 a.m. on Fox because they got like a big pre-race show, driver introductions. You got the flyover. Back home again in Indiana is going to be sung. And then you have the race
God
at
Bless
12.
America.
God Bless America. All that shenanigans. And then you have the race at 12 p.m.
Yes.
Which is great. And don't forget, Larson is attempting to be the second person to fully complete the double, which you will hear about time and time again. He will try to race 500 miles and then jump in a helo to his aircraft, to a private jet, back onto a helicopter to go to Charlotte Speedway to do the 600.
Mm-hmm.
Again, only Tony Stewart has completed it. I think Kurt Busch tried, but he crashed out of the 600. So he didn't do all 1,100 miles. So Kyle Larson would be the second person to complete all 1,100 miles.
Yeah. Don't think he's going to win. Didn't qualify very well at the 500.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, isn't F1 max 2 hours? Yeah, sorry. I'm just saying if there's like a post-race, if there's like drama, post-race press conference, if it like delays in the beginning.
F1's maximum 2 hours, but a 3-hour broadcast window.
Yeah. They could delay the start, so it's not officially
a
2-hour race yet in case something were to happen, knock on wood. So I'm just saying.
Yeah. Weather's looking good, though. Maybe some rain during qualifying, but probably not. No rain for the race. So Monaco should done and dusted well in advance of the actually important things happening to that weekend.
And then Indy, and then the Coke 600, which should be fun. I think Coke is at 6 p.m. is the start time for the broadcast.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't made my schedule of what I need to do and watch this weekend yet.
Marco would like to say we have a busy weekend. In addition to the things that we have mentioned of Monaco, Indy, Coke, we have MotoGP, the 24 hours Nürburgring qualifying races, DTM, ADAC 24-hour series, GT races, and more. So if those three things don't fill your bucket of motorsport needs, we got a lot more.
I'm going to be honest, why are you here? But also, there are more options out there if you want to add something to the spare TV.
Boo. Chap says none of that matters. Boo. Chap, you'd like MotoGP. Come on.
MotoGP.
I do love the Indy 500, though. Not this weekend. Boo. Don't be a gatekeeper of motorsports and things that are important.
A hate keeper.
What if you like 2 wheels? Maybe you think 4 wheels is dumb and only wants MotoGP. Did you say a hate keeper? A hate keeper?
Yeah, hate keeper. Not a gatekeeper, hate keeper.
Well, you guys aren't going to be up at 2 a.m. to watch the F3 race?
I would rather die.
It depends how Saturday goes. Apparently I gotta mentally prepare to do the 555 challenge and shots. I don't think I'll be up at 3
I was going to say, you're going to need to go to bed at like 8 p.m. Like, you need to be ready.
Wait, gates open 6 for Indy?
Yeah.
I want to be there for the firework, the shoot off the cannon, which would be sick. And then I gotta go to that little bodega deli that they have, Situation Diner, where I get my breakfast and my coffee with Doug. Love that place. Packed.
Hell yeah.
We actually got seats last time, which was crazy because we got there early enough. And then, then you just walk around and you start drinking. I like to see AI replace that job. Let AI try to drink a pack of Miller Lights before the Indy 500.
Yeah, exactly.
7 a.m. Okay? Please. Do the 555 challenge. Get out of here. Elizabeth, anything coming out for you today? I think you had a Deadly Passenger Terrible Joys video that came out, which was really interesting.
Got a podcast out today about the inaugural races at the Indy 500. Not the Indy 500, at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So these were in 1909, the first couple of races. Along the way, you will learn about the founder, Carl G. Fisher, and the fact that he was a unrepentant confidence man who was known for trying to sell cars by driving them off of the top of his dealership to prove that they could do that. And also the track founding. The whole point, though, is that a lot of people died. So multiple during that race. So they only flagged it when they thought that so a guy crashed into a spectator bridge that they had over the track at that time. Mm-hmm. And so many people crowded on it to look at the guy who just had that crash that they had to flag the race because they were like, they're going to crash the people onto the track. Crazy stuff. It was a lot of fun to learn about all of that. So dig in.
And make sure you support Elizabeth and all her articles at planetf1.com.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Again, time spent on the page matters. If you read fast, which I've learned, just leave it open for like an extra minute or two. Just so Elizabeth gets that watch
Pull
time.
it open. get a snack, get a drink, use the bathroom, come back, then close it.
Yeah. Pro tip. How does it work on mobile? Mobile, the same thing? How much time I spent? Yeah. Okay. Good to know.
Mm-hmm.
Good to know. Snack, happy birthday week, Elizabeth. Yeah. Elizabeth, I'll celebrate your birthday in the Indy 500 for you.
Thanks.
What do you like? Now a day over
appreciate
21, right? So I'll have like 21 beers.
Yeah.
Plus.
I spent my 21st birthday. I did the month of May at Indy. And it was 2017, so it was the year that Alonso was there. It was the year that Scott Dixon got mugged at Taco Bell.
Yeah.
It was a crazy one. And I was there the whole time, and I threw up in a cornfield on my 21st birthday.
Absolutely. That's my dream, is to do that. I'm going to emulate your birthday weekend with my 555 challenge.
To do that, Taylor will need to vomit into the cup holder. The car that you are in, is one of my friends had to. It was a bad time.
I take that back.
We got back to our Airbnb, and I just laid on the ground outside because I was like, I'm not fit to come in yet. I'm not done, and I don't want to clean myself up.
God bless the Indy 500.
It just throws me off out here.
Oh, what's the best way to leave the Indy 500? So for me, getting there and like being there, I have no issues. Like, I'm ready to go. We got my cooler, fine. But then
When's your flight?
Thursday at like 7:30.
Okay. Personally, the best way to do this is to wait as long as you possibly can.
Last time we walked till downtown, which was like 3 miles, and then called an Uber.
I would say walk to somewhere where there's an Uber coming. If you are done with walking at that point, I usually am. If you go to Main Street and Speedway and you find somewhere to eat, usually they'll have it'll probably be an outside table and chairs. But we used to just like sit there and wait for the traffic to die down, and then you can usually Uber from there pretty efficiently.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Chat, thank you so much for hanging out with us. I will be at the Indy 500, so if you want to see any behind the scenes stuff or whatever, make sure to follow on socials. I'll post in the Discord. I'll post on the Instagrams. Got some fun things planned. Interviews, garage tours, etc. Make sure you follow Elizabeth at the link that I provided to support Daily Pass and Shareable Joys, as well as her articles at planetf1.com. Chat, thank you for hanging out with us. Remember, be kind. Don't be an asshole, especially on the internet. I will find out.
And I will find you.
And I will find you. And I'll make your day a lot worse. So, remember to drink your water, take your meds, touch some grass, support local, including racetracks.
Amen.
Amen. I should give the convocation.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Ooh. I'll find this song before we... Da-da-da-da. What's this? Bye, everyone. And making them listen to Back Home Again in Indiana.
Dream about the moonlight.